And I'll just share as we go live. There'll just be a slight lag as I wait
All
for
good.
it to go live. But we are live. So what are you clicking on over there? Well,
Me?
yeah.
Yeah. I'm hi
This is
everybody,
like
by the way.
yeah. This is like transparency. What are you really doing over there, sir?
Yeah. I've got 55 million messages coming through right now. So I'm just having to tell people can't talk right now.
Yeah. I just had a text come in too, but I bet you get slammed.
Yeah, I do. From it's either texts, DMs, emails, Marco Polos, Slack messages, you name it. Good morning, Isaac.
Well, cool, man. We're going to go ahead and get started. And if we end early, you could attend to these super important messages. But if you don't mind, tell everyone who you are, what you do, how you do it, and all that good jazz.
Well, above all else, I'm Ruben's friend. And there you go. So, my man Ruben, first of all, before I get anything about me, y'all know this. If you don't, you should. Ruben is a leader's leader, servant driven leader. The man cares. I appreciate what he does, putting these trainings on together out of an abundant mindset, just wanting to help everybody in his orbit, regardless of company affiliation. And Ruben is class act, man. He's a guy that stands high on his morals and values, and he doesn't waver. And that's one of the greatest things I've always respected about him is you don't mess with this dude when it comes to accountability. If you have an appointment set at a certain time, you are there on that time or else. So, Ruben, thank you for holding the bar and raising the standards for all of us, my friend.
Yeah, of course. I know that you just got in contact with something like that not too long ago, looking
I
at your
did.
post. So,
I did. I did.
yeah,
I
it's
did.
important. You never know what you changed in your life in order for you to be there on time. And it's just a respect thing.
That's right. Yeah. So now that I've kissed your butt enough, I'm
Thanks.
just teasing. I meant every word, man. What's up, Jake Logan? Hey, man. So who am I? Jake, obviously, I'm a dad of two beautiful girls. I'm a husband to Carissa. She's also my business partner in the Locker Room, which is a real estate coaching and training company we've been running going on 9 years now. We specialize in working with broker owners, team leads, people at that leadership level in real estate specifically. And we coach and consult them on all things related to growth, meaning recruiting, retention, productivity, and profitability. Love what we do, and also co-owner in the Locker Room Leadership and Coaching Academy with Kit. That is now an ICF, International Coaching Federation, an ICF accredited institution. So people can go through our academy and get their ICF certification, which is the most coveted, if you're into this space, coveted credentials you can have. Example, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, any Fortune 500 companies will not bring in consultants to their businesses if you don't have an ICF credential behind your name. So,
Wow.
entrepreneur, author, I wrote my first book and
Yeah.
published it last year called Cannonball, the 12 Success Principles Children Can Teach Us About Life and Business. And just a giver, which is why I love associating myself with other givers like Ruben.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I would say the same thing. You've been awesome throughout. We've been through a lot together, and you've always had my back, along with other people who have different journeys within their life. I mean, you have their back as well. Never hard feelings. Just a continuous support because we know it's kind of like a DNA strand, right? We keep doing
Yeah.
this right here,
Yep.
along with other contacts as well. But I do want to say this for anybody who is listening. If you do have any questions, obviously this is why we go live. Please ask them. Like that's the point. That's the point. This is your world too, and we want you to be part of it. So we won't know how to best help you unless you ask questions, right?
Can
So
I say something to that real quick?
yeah, go for it.
So, I just made a Facebook post coincidentally this morning about that topic because yesterday we held a virtual conference. I had 7 speakers, all doing 7, 8, possibly even 9-figure businesses. And it just blows my mind when I step back and think of how many times we've gone, people go to conferences, attend trainings, masterminds, one-on-ones, and they don't show up prepared to ask questions. It drives me freaking nuts. I'm not saying I'm all that. Ruben's not saying he's all that. We've been through some stuff. We've accomplished some stuff. So anytime, ladies and gentlemen, here's a pro tip. You need to collect questions, whether it's in a Google Drive thing, on your phone in the notes, folded up on an old scrap piece of paper that you keep in your wallet or your purse. You better be ready, because if you're in an elevator and you've got 30 seconds alone with your idol, your mentor, the leader you've always admired, are you going to choke? Or are you going to ask that one, maybe two questions in that amount of time because you're prepared? Always be ready to ask questions. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, and you're great. You're exactly right. And just for anybody who's thinking like, man, I don't know what to ask. And there's plenty of ways that you could extract those questions from yourself. But I'll say one thing I like to do is I'll listen to a podcast. And I was listening to a podcast this morning. And although this had nothing to do with real estate coaching or real estate at all, they're still asking questions. And it's cool because you can pull some of those questions to, something like this interview.
Yes.
And I have some of them right here, and that was a perfect segue. So I'll just roll straight into it. This is a kind of an interesting question because I feel like I know the answer, but you know what they say when you assume, right? So when did you know, when you were building the locker room, when did you know internally your chest gets warm? Like when did you know you had something? When you were building it out and it hit and you're like, holy cannoli, we have something here. What was that?
Yeah. I think great question, by the way. And none of this was rehearsed. I have no idea what you're going to be asking me today. I think there's two moments, if I may, two different validation points that really cemented it for me. Number one, part of the backstory, Ruben. In fact, you might have been in the room. It was back in 2016. Yeah, early 2016 in Fort Mill, South Carolina. At the time, I was a team leader for an office up in Cary, North Carolina. But we all went to this regional event called ESO, Expansion Systems Orientation. And Kristen Cole was in the room with all these top leaders and mega superstars learning about how to expand, right? And I remember sitting in that room, still a team leader, but I knew in my heart that I was going to transition to becoming what's called a productivity coach, do that instead. And I had done enough research to know that it was kind of like the wild, wild west. And I wanted to bring order. I wanted to bring systems and models to that community of leaders, but I didn't know how. And it's in that moment that I remember jotting down in my little journal that I had with me that day. I posted a picture of the room last week on social media. That's when it hit me. That's when I knew, before I had done anything, just the idea, the vision was so freaking clear to me at that moment in that room, Ruben, that it just ignited everything else. Now I'm a man on a mission. I'm doing this. That was number one. Number two is, now that I'm in that role, fast forward to August 2016, when I became a productivity coach, launched the locker room just in my office. About 6 months later, 5-6 months later, at the end of the year, no, that's not true. Nope. Fast forward to 2017. My apologies. 2017, middle of the year. Now that I had proof of concept, I had my own results I could point to, having been a productivity coach since August 2016. Now it's June, July of the following year of 2017. We started to expand. I had deliverables. I had evidence of success that now I want to help other coaches do what I just did. The end of that year was the second cementing that we had something special, because my someday goal, Ruben, was to have 5 expansion locations for the locker room. 5. You know how many I had by the end of that first year of 2017 when we started to expand, just in 5-6 months? 35.
Golly, I was going to say 13.
35. And by the end of the following year, we had over 200. So you want to talk about hockey stick. That's when you know you have something and it's validated, not just by what you think, but other people think that too.
Yeah.
And we haven't looked back since.
When you first had that feeling, and by the way, if anyone has any questions, please ask them, because I'm just going to. And if you do have a question, I want to put yours ahead of mine. In the room, did you share it with anyone, or did you feel like, man, I really need to hold this to myself because there's such a huge gap in opportunity right now that whoever gets there first is really going to be able to expand to 300 plus?
Yeah, dude. No, man, I didn't share it. In fact, I have it. Hold on.
Okay.
It's right here. This is the journal from that day that I was writing in.
Oh,
And my
wow.
chicken scratch notes and vision of it is still in here. I didn't share it with anybody, but what I did do is I quietly got to work. I'm a big fan, if anybody needs a good read, of the Blue Ocean Strategy book, Blue Ocean Strategy.
Yeah.
Just even the concept of blue ocean when you understand it. So knowing that I sunk my teeth into that way of thinking, I was like, all right, no, I'm not going to tell people because I don't want somebody stealing my idea.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
playing. I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
But I did get to work when nobody else was looking. I was doing the research. I was benchmarking. I interviewed 62 productivity coaches across the country, learning 61 ways I knew I did not want to do it. I
Mm.
went to family reunion and other events and attended the productivity coach breakouts and stuff as a team leader, but really I was there learning because that I knew that was going to be my future. So I'm laying all this foundation, doing all the market study and research, talking to people, collecting as much intel as I could so I can look at it and say, here's what the masses are doing. And I don't want to operate with a herd mentality. So I'm going to go the opposite direction of everybody else so I can get disproportionate results.
Blue Ocean Strategy.
Blue Ocean Strategy.
Wow. That's awesome, man. It's cool. It's cool to know that. And then that you had it, and then you were like, you just went on a mission, like you said earlier, and started going to these places. Yes, as the kind of like the Trojan horse. You were going in there as a TL, but you were looking around and gathering what you needed.
Yeah.
Which, of
Yeah,
course, I mean,
exactly.
I love that. Here goes a question. When you decide to expand or work on some additional projects outside the typical real estate agent life, did you cut back on agent life or just extend into the long
Hmm.
hours of the night?
Good question, Jake. Thanks for that, man. Full transparency. So Ruben knows this, a little self-deprecating humor. I've sold one home in my life. Yep.
And it was a referral, right?
No, so I've sold one home legit,
Okay, legit,
and I
legit.
sent out a referral, but
I
that,
apologize.
you know.
But still, that's awesome, man. Go ahead.
So yeah, so I never had. And by the way, P.S. It wasn't because I sucked at selling real estate. I sold my first home really fast, and then I get a call from the owner of my brokerage
Yeah.
saying she wants to interview me to be the team leader. So
I've
there's that.
once heard that you grow the most when you do things you're most unqualified for, that you
Ooh,
feel like in the moment, you know?
write that
So
down. Write that down, everybody. What was the question again, Jake?
this is
Oh,
basically it. He shortened it. Where do you find the time for additional projects?
understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Two ways of answering that. Back then, and very much what I do now, I'm all in. Like I'm very focused. I'm very intense. I move quickly. I make decisions quickly, and I own the outcomes because I'm failing my way forward. Like when I say I move quick and I make decisions quick, that naturally means I'm going to fail a lot too. Now, I don't just go into it irresponsibly. I do my best up front to make sure it's a thoughtful hypothesis of what will work. But you ask anybody, including Ruben, who's run with me, I pivot, I adapt. I'm not emotionally attached to the outcome. I'm just willing to try things enough times until I find something that actually works. So in the early days, Jake, I was very much all in. It's a yes and. I was incredibly focused. I did not have anything else I was working on, but the additional projects, as far as content creation, putting together deliverables that we can offer our expansion offices, you got to have something. You got to bottle that knowledge and that proprietary information up. And so it was me and my wife working way into the wee hours, 3-4 o'clock in the morning, raising two kids at the time who were 1, 2, 2, 3 years old. A lot of sacrifices were made that will never get acknowledgement for, and I don't need acknowledgement for. That's just
Mhm.
part of what sometimes it takes to fiercely pursue something that you see clearly and want desperately. So that's my answer. Hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, I agree. I think also, if I think you got to back it up to what the Northern Star is, and it was very clear what your Northern Star was and still is. And for whoever that is to not lose focus of that Northern Star and almost use that Northern Star as a filter for what
Yeah.
you should be taking action on. Because yes, some things feel like you're going to get like a strong win in the short term, but is it really aligning with the Northern Star that you put in place?
Mhm.
And you have to have a real conversation with yourself because we could find reasons on why to dabble in other things that are
Mhm.
keeping our focus away from it, and we could justify it. But is it really justifiable in the larger picture even by doing the boring stuff every day isn't super exciting for maybe that side project.
100%. Ruben, can I ask you a question?
No.
Okay,
So
good. I'm going to anyways. No, I like what you just said there. Your terminology is Northern Star.
Yep.
Other people might find that as purpose, passion, the big why, any
Yep.
similar, phrasing. I know a little bit, so I'm kind of teeing you up for this, but how did you, what was your defining moment when you found your defining star that now you filter all your decisions through as to why you do what you do so rigidly?
Is that now or
Back then?
because I've had two strong Northern Stars.
Well, now what I'm hitting on is why today 92% of your income is passive.
Wow, did I put that out there?
You did.
Okay.
Hopefully it's okay that I just said that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I did it for a Pints and Properties here, like an investor meetup, and then I think maybe I posted it. I actually put that number in it. Yeah, so that Northern Star. Oh man, and to get very real, Jake Dixon was with me essentially, but across the room. And if anyone knows Grant Cardone, we were there, and then I got gut checked by me thinking I was the bomb diggity in your program, running the locker room out of an office, had like 52 coaching clients, and thought I was the bomb diggity. And then somebody was like, "Yo, how you're gonna?" I was in Miami. You're gonna fly a plane home? You're gonna go home on a plane? I was like, "Yeah, for sure." They were like, "What happens if the plane goes down?" I was like, "Well, I guess I die." And he was like, "And what happens to your income?" And I was like, "Holy moly, it all stops." And then he was like, "And you call yourself a father?" And I was like, "Shoot!" And right there, like, he was so right. In my mind, right in that moment, I needed it at that time. And then talk to Jake. I knew we were looking at like the business development VP of business. And I was like, "Jake, I got to step back." Started talking to my last firm, started building, and that became my Northern Star. So yes, there was a lot of sexy things that I really wanted to dive into, but none of it made sense if I was going to create a world that I could die and the family was still taken care of. I could die and the family didn't take on in my life like what I wanted. Salaries, a large real estate team, overhead, liability. How could I create this thing to be extremely passive that I could die? They're still well taken care of and they can decide.
And that's real talk, guys. I mean, some of you might hear that and say, well, that's pretty morbid. It's real. It's real life. I mean, look around us. We've all lost people unexpectedly in our worlds. And who are we to think it couldn't happen to us? So I know that's maybe a weird lens. Not weird. I don't mean to insult your thinking. No. But that's a different lens to consider things through. But it's what found your North Star. And you've been so disciplined ever since. Everything you do since I've ever known you since then is through the lens of if I die tomorrow, if I die tomorrow, if I die tomorrow, how does this help my family? How does this align? And I just have mad respect for that level of discipline and clarity that you have.
Well, I think this, right? Like it's people move away from pain faster than they move towards pleasure. And it wasn't the pleasure of having a passive income life and I could do it. It was the pain, and the pain is the thing that really, really helped me move forward. What was the pain for you and your Northern Star? What was as you saw it, did you see it more of an opportunity, or did you see that a lot of people were going to be in pain without this program? What was that?
Yeah, as much as I love people, that wasn't my driving motivator. I definitely saw opportunity for sure to change lives. I don't mean to sound like a shallow jerk or anything, but to be very real back, I was in pain. I was a complete fraud to everyone who on social media saw my highlight reel. But at that moment in that season, even though I had a great job, successful job title, team leader, I'm important, dude, I was broke as a freaking joke. I wasn't making enough money to cover my expenses every month because I had $35,000 in credit card debt. I had $35,000 in back taxes because I was an idiot. Like a lot of real people in real estate don't pay their taxes. Hello. And. So my wife and I had both liquidated our retirements, which are not supposed to do, paid heavy penalties and taxes on that the year prior to move for opportunity. So I had just made dumb decision after dumb decision and ended up taking this coaching role in an office that was willing to give a brother a chance. And all I had was $8,000 in my bank account with a mountain of debt going fast, $2,000 per month for the first 3 months that they gave me as a stipend. And I had to pay 50% of my coach at the time, which is $500 a month, as long as I hit my goals. So it was completely irresponsible of what I did. And yet nobody puts baby in the corner. I almost needed that pressure, and I
Yep.
perform well in pressure. I never want to put my family through that again. Don't mistake in that. But that was my North Star, is never putting my family in that vulnerable position ever again through big thinking and big action.
Do you find yourself sometimes manufacturing pressure because you know you perform well there?
All the time. Pressure, or another way of saying that, and this sounds so jacked up, but Carissa, if she's ever watches this, she will absolutely validate this for you.
Yeah.
How should I say this? I need a not an enemy, that's too strong of a word, a nemesis. I intentionally place chips on my shoulder, and I go looking for quiet fights because I love proving people wrong,
Yeah.
because I love proving myself right. And so, yeah, I don't know if it's manufacturing pressure or just finding where's that boogeyman hiding out under my bed so I can, play with a chip on my shoulder. And through doing so, it's creating a bigger world, bigger impact for others who do believe in me.
Right. So there's really a person that you could essentially, with a lack of better words, is prove wrong. There really exists. So you're not manufacturing that. You're just finding it. That's a good way of looking. All right, I will now tell myself that then.
Yeah.
Instead of saying stop manufacturing, I'm like, but they exist. And by defeating this enemy, more
It's a
people can.
competitive mindset,
Yeah, that's a great
everybody's
way.
wired differently. It doesn't make me right or wrong and either way. But Kit, she teaches a phenomenal class about our saboteurs and different levels of energy and stuff like that. Anger is one of the lower levels of energy. And yet anger, or manufactured anger, can actually be a strong motivator for certain behavioral styles as well. And that's, I guess, in a weird, twisted way, I'm not an angry person at all. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person.
Yeah.
But quietly, that's the best way I can say it, man. I like playing with a chip on my shoulder. And if that's what it takes to go do things, then so be it. Judge me all you want. But it works for me.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because I'm kind of going through my Rolodex right now, and I'm the people that I see, but by also, and I don't want to say defeating these people, I don't even know the right word, but by proving these people wrong or defeating or whatever, the other side of that is it impacts a lot of people that are not being able to have their word out loud because of this person.
Exactly.
And so you do affect a lot more people in a positive way by pushing down that boogeyman, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
We do have another question. When going into a different venture or project, you mentioned you jump right in and go all in. How do you measure results to either continue on or cut your losses and find something new? That's a good one.
Yeah, this is a good one. Yeah. My response, or my not knowing specifically, even though I know Jake, but first thing I would do is, again, market research. Is there even a demand for this? What's the niche? Who's my ideal avatar? What is my messaging and marketing and plan to reach that audience and pull them into closer proximity? So all that, assuming is happening prior to my final answer here, you have to get to a point where you have what they call KPIs, key performance indicators. Because if I run my business based on emotion, the ebb and flow of my emotion every day, good luck to you. Because how many of us feel like working every day? Yeah, probably not too many, right? We're going to have ups and downs, good days, bad days kind of thing. So it stands to reason I can't run my business on emotion. So how do I need to run and look at my business? Well, the opposite, which is logic. So what I do is I look at, here's the desired outcome I want. What are the dominoes that I need to line up? What are those early leading indicators that affect the lagging indicator? So as long as I do these things well and consistently, and I'm always resharpening that, it is only a matter of time, because I'm doing the right thing long enough, that my success is guaranteed. But you have to have a sense of clarity. In real estate, it's obvious. How many people do you need to talk to per day? How many appointments do you need to go on every week? If you don't know those numbers, you better figure it out. Get with Ruben. Let me help you. Whatever. Talk to somebody who knows how to effectively do that and reverse engineer your goal down to the granular and the bite size. And then it's just time on task over time. It's having a sense of confidence and discipline in yourself that if I do this, I've measured every angle, I've tested every probability, this is going to work as long as I'm willing to work, right? And you can't disrupt that cycle. We play a game on a training that we have, Ruben, called the 5 to 25 challenge. You may remember this. And in there, this little cutesy game, all of you probably know because you played it on somebody when you were 6 years old. You say, hey, Ruben, would you rather have $1 million or would you rather have a penny, but that penny and that amount doubles every day for 30 consecutive days?
Yeah.
Well, the temptation is people are just to give me the mill,
Yeah.
and then you go blow it. But if you understand the compound effect, it's actually by day 30, that penny is now $5.4 million.
Yeah.
What's the lesson? I just got to be patient. I got to do the right thing, but I cannot disrupt the cycle. Many of you have probably done 75 hard, and I heard it, maybe it was from Ruben or somebody way smarter than me, but instead of 75 hard, what about 365 consistent?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing
Like
sexy
habit.
about
I don't
it,
know. Yeah.
but why not? So.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. And you said it would work if you work. And I would challenge a lot of people to look at their calendar and kind of measure what they're doing every single day. And I bet they're wasting a effing lot of time, either on the phone or just finding things to replace time in order to not to do the work. Matter of fact, and it started with you when we were running the locker room. For anybody who came into the room, and I would say this for anybody who is going to find this accountability partner, I would attach these 3 things to those meetings to help you get to where you're going, which is number 1, be on time.
Yeah.
Be on time, please. Number 2, bring a goal in actual, right? That gets rid of emotion. I mean, we'll find through the numbers, because numbers do have conversations that we could find some emotion, but bring your goal in actual. What's your goal and where you actually at in the month, the week, whatever that is. And then bring your calendar. Because we'll find the things you need to do and fill the white space within your calendar to ensure that these numbers are able to get hit. But if you do those 3 things, if you're willing to do the work, it should work out as well. I believe so. Thank you.
Not to, I won't spend much time on it, but yesterday, my mentor, my leader, Nick Sarnicola is his name. He shared something he came up with called the impact ladder. And because you just said one of them, it's the lowest, still important, still impact, but it's the lowest on this pyramid. Yeah. Imagine a pyramid. Down here is accountability partner. That's the lowest level of having an impact you just said. So in other words, translation, everybody should have a minimum accountability partner. You probably have one when you go to the gym. Yeah. Why shouldn't we have multiples of them, for example, at work? Okay. So it's accountability partner. Next up is manager. Next up is influencer, then coach, then mentor, then leader. That is the impact ladder. So we got to ask ourselves, who am I being for this other person? Which one of these am I serving as? And who is serving as these things to me? Right? And the pinnacle being a leader. When somebody, this is Nick's language, not mine. He said, outside of being named or being called mommy or daddy, right? The next most flattering, most beautiful word anybody could call you is when they say, Ruben is my leader.
Yeah.
Ruben is my leader. So outside of mommy or daddy, somebody calling you that, that's the next best thing is when somebody says, that guy, that girl, they're my leader. I will follow them into battle anywhere. Yeah. That is like one of the most cherished, prized things anybody could ever say to you.
Do you feel that you are sitting on the top of that pyramid?
I think it ebbs and flows, man, and it's so relational. Depends on the relationship.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. With if I were to say that to you, I would be something that I probably am different for Jake Logan. Right. Or so I think in a lot of contexts, it just is so individualized on that type of answer. But I can tell you, my goal now through that different perspective that he shared is to be a leader to as many people as I can.
Right.
But realizing I won't be. Some people who just follow me on social media, I might be an influencer to them because they like the content or things I put out there. Same with you, but we don't really have a relationship. But I can still impact them. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus,
'Cause
go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah, because when I got the call from you and you were like, "Hey, fly to Texas with me. There's an opportunity." I was like, "Okay." And people were
Yeah.
asking me, they're like, "Why are you here?" I was like, "I don't know. Jake said go," right? So like, I definitely have that leadership quality, I would say. I will say if anybody again has any questions, y'all been doing great so far, but please ask them. This is for you. Although I love catching up with Jake, this is really for you, and I want you guys to get value out of this. What is something you wish more broker owners and agents should be talking more about
Mm,
that they stay silent about in their, you
okay.
know, what do you think they should be talking more about?
You might love this answer, Ruben.
Love it.
Money. We
Hey,
don't talk about everybody gets weird about the money conversation. Money matters. Profit is not a curse word. Okay. The purpose of
yeah.
business is to turn a profit. And it's okay that the business serves you. Okay. You don't have to be the sacrificial lamb to it. But so many people have such a
Mm,
low financial IQ and they never study money. They never understand money. And as we say oftentimes, I know I get you on a rant about this. A lot of us watching this or participating in this right now probably I'm gonna assume don't necessarily have an income problem. The problem lies we have a cash flow problem because we don't pay attention to our money. We don't have a budget that you might see as a restrictive kind of thing. No, it's not. It's just labeling and assigning the meaning to every dollar and how it's going to work for you, right? So I just don't think we talk about money enough, Ruben. And I don't mean, oh, let's go make as much of as we can type conversation. I mean actually being stewards of the money and how it works and all the nuances that go along with it. So
right.
that's my
And locker room work with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of agents, broker owners. Uh, how many, if you were to do like a out of 10, how many of those are breaking even or net negative every single month? Guesstimation and percentage.
Oh boy, that's a loaded one. I'm these days I'm more intimate with the broker owners and their bottom lines. And if you ask me, let me just go ahead and go here. If you ask me that question and put the caveat that you cannot include the broker owner's own production in that number, take
Okay.
their production out, is the business profitable on the other agent's production? It's scary. I don't have a scientific answer.
Yeah.
It's ballpark 50-50, 60-40, somewhere in there, if not worse.
Wow.
Which is why we're trying to also, we obviously try to help with that,
Oh yeah.
but also introduce other ideas like ancillary services and different opportunities. Mergers and acquisitions are a big topic these days if you look at the real estate news.
Yep.
So just being more astute to that stuff and saying, yes, the brokerage itself needs to be profitable. Let's get that stuff right. But it's a race to the bottom if we're not careful, guys. If you're an agent, you're discounting your commissions. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. That's a problem.
Yeah.
If you're a broker owner, you're playing the wrong game, in my not so humble opinion, if all you're doing is communicating your value proposition being about caps and splits and fees and rev shares and profit shares and all the share. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing unique about that. It's a race to the bottom. We're going to cannibalize ourselves. So grow your leadership and your ability to articulate a
Mm.
real value proposition and identify what problem that solves for somebody else, not just throw superficial stuff at people. And there's always somebody willing to do it cheaper.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think, I mean, with the fallout rate, what, 88%, 2 years in the business, this number, let's say 60-ish% that are either flat or net negative.
Yeah.
Why is the industry for years and years and years since I could remember, why is this allowed?
Allowed for what, I guess,
In
the just acceptance
conversation.
of average or what?
Yeah, the acceptance of it in
Mhm.
conversation, if it were to, like, you just don't see enough
Yeah.
emphasis on it.
Yeah.
And if you're not, if you're not, what is it? If you're not helping the solution, you're part of the
Mhm.
problem or whatever. And
Mhm.
I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Now, and when we start to bring up these conversations, we will get shut down, and it becomes this weird energy in the air. But why is it, what in your professional opinion, why is this allowed,
I don't know why
essentially?
it's allowed, but I here's why I think it happens
Yeah,
as frequently as it does. It's real simple to me. It's ego.
yeah,
It's ego. People aren't paying attention to the numbers, and if they are, their ego won't allow them to say, "I need help. This
yeah,
isn't working." And so they mask that by either getting back into production themselves, or which is nothing wrong with that, by the way. But if the goal is to have a profitable business with or without you producing,
yeah,
that's the conversation I'm talking about. But I think it's ego, man. It's status. It's I want to be known as the biggest, the baddest, the most influential. Look at us. We've got X number of agents, and that makes us feel important. And yet you're broke as a joke behind the scenes. And I'm not
right,
referring to any one company. This is me being
exactly.
general here, but I see that, and it's bothersome, because I guarantee you, when the person had the vision themselves to start their own brokerage, start their own team, get into real estate, it probably didn't include being a sacrificial lamb to the very thing that you said you got into it for:
Yeah,
time, freedom, flexibility, financial gain. What's happening with that? And so I think it's getting back to Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, ESBI. Am I really just self-employed, or do I have
yeah,
an actual business that can run if I disappear for a month on a beach somewhere?
yeah. And could your coaching company help with that?
Yeah, man, that's a lot of what we spend time doing,
Yeah,
as you know, is working with owners who have the mindset of a CEO and see their business as a vehicle and a machine, so we can systematize it and get them going from self-employed to at least the business owner part. Whereas I don't own a job, now I own systems, and other people and functions can operate the business, whether I'm in it 24/7 or not.
yeah. Systems are so important. What's that quote? You don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, or something like that.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Another question. What do you believe your coaching company does better than any other coaching company?
That's a loaded one, man. And I don't mean to splice hairs, but just hear me out. So I will answer that. However, um, questions like that are always weird for me to answer, because it's Simon Sinek, the infinite game. What is
Hmm.
the best? Who gets to decide the best?
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm better than or worse than. Who gets to decide that?
Yeah.
So in other words, I'm not going to say what we do better than somebody else, but I will say what I'm most proud of that we do, and I think we do really well.
Yeah.
And that is, number one, we're incredibly passionate and authentic. The people that represent the locker room and that I choose to run with, like Ruben, they don't fake it till they make it. They don't do things just for prestige and driving fancy cars and look at me, look at me. We do it truly because we have been called to serve other people. And that's what fills our bucket. Zig Ziglar, help enough people get what they
Yeah.
want, you'll have everything you want. That's kind of the root. So I'm not suggesting other coaching companies just don't care or just go through the
Right.
motion, but I have experienced some of that myself, where it's so robotic. And it's like, you can tell I'm just a 30-minute time slot on somebody's calendar next. You don't get that vibe from us, because that's not who we are. The
Right.
second thing I think is we're very intentional with how the framework we've built, that we've called LRSS, the Locker Room Success System, is structured in such a way that can create duplicatable, predictable, scalable results. So I'm very proud of the frameworks and coaching methodologies that we have created through experience and benchmarking others. That is unique to us, and I think that is a definite standout, where we're not going to meet every week, Ruben, and say, "Oh, hey, what do you want to talk about today?" We're driving a certain behavior and agenda as a team. We're a partner in your business with you, not just a coach sitting up here talking down to you.
Right. Yeah. And I asked that question, I obviously respect that answer that you said. I think you guys do a lot of things really well. And it was more for anyone who's listening that feels as if they fit that, they have that need that you guys serve so well. Essentially, is why I was asking that question. But the
Appreciate
follow
it.
up, yeah, of course, would be, what gap do you have in your coaching company that you believe another coaching company does really well?
Okay, that's good. I like that. That's fair. Well, maybe I'll go back and answer my other one differently then.
I know, right?
I'm
Well,
just
they
playing.
suck. You suck. No, I'm
No,
messing.
here's my answer. This is easy for me. I have not mastered yet the art of, what's the buzzwords? People, funnels, attraction
Mm,
marketing. I don't have. I see other coaching companies who have these paid ads and tripwires and funnels and things that brings them steady flow of leads, for lack of a better term, potential clients. The way we have always run our business up to this point has just been organic, frankly, like word of mouth. Like, we're intentional, but not like
yeah.
playing up there in the big dog world either. I don't have a budget to run $100,000 a month of ads to create all these leads and people to call. I don't. So I think our opportunity that I see other coaching companies doing is packaging our value and our messaging better, putting it out there our way, not the manipulative, tricky, whatever, but our way,
Right.
that basically invites people in saying, here, try this, experience this. If you like it, you want to have a conversation, let's talk. That's just how I've always been, nonchalant kind of thing. But I think we could be better at that. And because I now see my responsibility isn't just getting Jake's clients or whatever. It's I got to help Mary Lou and Brent and Melissa Cruz and everybody. I have to be a business owner that brings in other interest for them,
Right.
with them, and that's a whole different art and science that we haven't mastered yet.
Yeah, I was watching Veritasium. I don't know if anyone watches that. Probably even said it wrong on YouTube. Is a nerd, and I love nerd stuff. And he talked about why he puts these thumbnails of like something bad's gonna happen, and doing the O face. And
Yeah.
he's like, I always felt weird about this. He was like, but we did the math and blah blah blah. So it does drive more people into the thing that he truly wants to give and wants to talk about and wants to educate on. Unfortunately, that's kind of part of the game,
Yeah.
right? Is pulling on that emotion, and people move towards that shocking type of look. And I say all that to say, maybe someone in $100,000 a month, totally get that. But with the weird kind of vibe ads,
Yeah.
in some way, there's a quote that goes, uh, give people what they want, then give them what they need. And
Bingo.
there is a sense of that where
Yeah.
you do have to play that game just slightly in order to get them into your world, and then have that conversation that you're saying right now, which is like, yo, I would love for you to run with us
Yeah.
if we align here, 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 here.
That's it. That's it. And that is our plan. Tricks out of, or the cat's out of the bag here, where we've been doing it, but we're going to get better. Free master classes, free downloads, come to one of our events. Like, these things are what I would consider to be the top of funnel, attract you to us kind of mechanisms, but without this weird, slimy, salesy, hounding calls and call center
Right.
of people. Like, it's just like, no, experience us. If you like it, cool. If not, that's okay too. It's always been kind of my attitude towards that, because I don't want to work with people. I don't want to sell anybody on what we offer. If you
Yeah.
like it and you want to have a conversation, you're probably going to end up asking me about it. That's how I've always been, and it's worked so far. So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I just think we need to put more free value content, let people see us and experience us out there, versus keeping everything behind a paywall. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Right. Got a few other questions real quick. Again, if anybody's got any other questions that they want to ask Jake Dixon, here we go. Please ask those questions. He is ready for them. This is something that I'm curious about. What are some of the largest roadblocks in real estate that you see that will face agents, broker owners this year and in the next 5 years?
Roadblocks, which can be cleverly disguised as opportunities too, I suppose, depending how you think about them.
We just finished book club yesterday, and it was a book basically saying with every
Yeah.
obstacle, there's an opportunity. But just for people to see and maybe
Mm-hmm.
be aware of something that you see so
Yeah.
they can get ahead of it, essentially.
Yeah. No, of course. Um, to me, the first obvious answer is technology, specifically AI.
Yeah.
We had a speaker yesterday who's just an AI guru, on our digital conference, and he spoke a lot to this. And in some ways, he does have a crystal ball, because his track record shows whether it's Bitcoin or other things, he's ahead. He sees trends. He sees what's coming. And
Right.
specific to AI, I think is going to, if you're not utilizing it, or an AI enhanced realtor or broker owner, it might sneak up on you before it's too late. I'm not like the sky is falling, and I'm not one of those people. In fact, I resisted AI myself for a long time, but now I get it. I see how it's a tool, not going to replace us, but those who know how to use it to enhance their business and operations could stand to win out. So I definitely see that. I think just overall, from a skill or however you want to say this, a different pandemic that I see is the inability for broker owners and agents to effectively communicate or articulate their value. I know that sounds weird. It's not AI, it's not some shiny thing, but truly, y'all, if broker owners, if you don't know how to do that, you're going to recruit 0 agents and have none. Agents, if you don't know how to do that, you're not going to get buyers and sellers to work with you, because you must be able to articulate your value in a world where consumers are more sophisticated than ever before, with more information at their fingertips than ever before. So if we want to stay at the center of the transaction, you better get good at articulating and knowing what your value proposition is.
So I want to go in both of those areas. With the speaker that did come on and talk about AI, was it specific to real estate, or was it just business owners?
It had a real estate twist. He's a personal friend of mine. I've seen him deliver this two other times just to a general business audience, but yesterday he embedded some real estate examples.
And what were some of those examples that we should get ahead of in terms of AI for anybody who's listening?
So he's big in, so there was a 3-step process. I'll have to look at my notes. First, you have to train it. And I don't know the language, forgive me, but people think they're using AI when they're using ChatGPT. That's like the lowest, like there's such a bigger world that you may not know about with AI. But you have to first teach it, train it to create your what is your avatar? He said, for example, feed that thing, talk to it like it's an admin of yours, upload your mission statement, your values, your belief systems, tell it who your ideal client is and the character, like all this stuff. So now it's creating an avatar about you and or your business that you can work from. And then whatever the second step was, I don't remember, but the third one was AI agent. He said, now these things are doing tasks. It's doing the work of 15 VAs, where they are doing activities, assignments, completing things, researching things for you while you're on a Zoom call. So the term was AI agent, and how he's seeing even, real estate agents. He shared an example, an agent down in Miami who booked a, what was it, $750,000 or something like that, listing appointment from an AI agent. It was not a human. The other person thought it was, booked it, got the listing. So the agents who are AI enabled or enhanced, that is definitely a significant piece of the future, I think.
If somebody wanted to watch that, could they access it through the locker room by reaching out to you guys? Because I know it's a value prop for your people.
Yes. Just get with me. Yes, because I did charge for the whole day, and I want to be fair and respectful of the people who paid the $97 to attend or get all the recordings from yesterday. But if it's a one-off like that, or snippets or notes or something, I'm an abundant person. I just don't want to make anybody mad who paid for the thing.
Yeah, I kind of made it more of where, because everybody likes to ask for something free, but usually when they pay attention. So I didn't know if there was like something you've already bottled up, like, this would be 25, 100, whatever it is.
We're just editing right now. We didn't really have a plan for it.
I just thought about it.
We'll figure that out, though.
I mean, it sounds like it sounds like you get at least one listing from purchasing that information, which would well pay for that thing. The other thing is the value prop. So I got a question about this because, say the firm I'm with has all these value propositions, all these benefits. What I have found is that when you're talking to someone, and this is why I don't necessarily like, some people see me as a recruiter. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think but it's just understanding what the other person is going through and then what they want, all this stuff. So how do you display a value prop without you feeling like you're just talking at them of what you have, which it might not even benefit anything that they want?
great question. I could spend a whole hour on this. I won't, but we
You got
teach a
10 minutes.
lot of this, the exercises and formulas of how to come up with your value proposition. Short version of an example of that would be, think back to your own experience, your own life. Start there, for God's sakes. What do you do incredibly well? Some of you watching this have amazing businesses where you're 80-20 on the list side. 80% of your closings are from listings. That's unbelievable. And then you've got agents over here struggling to even, where do I get a listing? So thinking through, what do I uniquely do? What is my proprietary way that I've probably discounted? Like, no, it just comes natural to me. No, you're good at it. You're doing something different than most people. What is it? Bottle that up. And then you're able to bridge that to another person saying, I do this incredibly well. Here's my track record and proprietary ways. And here's what problem that solves for you. That is a unique value proposition, or at least the beginnings of it, especially when you interpret the what's in it for me part for another person. Because I'm gifted at this, here's the problem or problems it solves for other people. That's called a value proposition, unique value proposition, right?
Right.
What else did you ask me? Because I went on a tangent there real quick.
That was it. That was it.
Okay.
So it sounds like you figure out what your value proposition is, number one, like the thing that you're really, really, really good at. And if by them taking more listings, they make more money, that funds them buying a car, so they're not relying on one
Right.
car. And so you still are helping them, but through your own value proposition. It's one of your tools that you have.
And you can flip-flop that, I guess, too. That's the other part I was going to say is, if I'm a recruiter, I'm trying to attract the right agents into my ecosystem. And let's say for whatever reason, I have pinpointed that I want to attract $1 to $5 million producing agents. Like that's my jam. I want the mighty middle, right? Not the top dogs, not the brand new agent, but that's who I want to recruit. I would, and this is a little stereotypical, but just hang with me. I would say, okay, self, let me put myself in that person's shoes. We have a whole persona worksheet that we go through. What is keeping that person awake at night? What are the common challenges and problems that they're likely facing? Where do they hang out? Where do they go for information? Da, 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 da. So you start to create this profile of the ideal who. Now all my messaging, my outreach, my language, the free master classes that I invite them to are likely attached to a knowing pain point. How many of you agents go on a listing appointment in advance? You probably already know the top 5 objections you might get from the seller. Duh. And wouldn't it be smart if you went into that listing appointment with objection handlers or responses of how you would handle it if that should come up? Duh. Okay. Same thing is true for recruitment. If I'm recruiting the 1 to 5 mil audience, I can probably safely assume they're struggling with work-life balance. They got some pain, not knowing they just kind of tripped over because of their charisma, some business systems, lead gen, right? All these basic things that are probably speaking to that audience more than it would a brand new agent or somebody who's busting out 50 million a year in volume. Right. I can make some safe assumptions and then say, hey, Ruben, I've got this master class coming up all about the top 10 mistakes to avoid when it comes to work-life balance. I immediately thought of you. It'd mean a lot if you'd be my VIP guest at this upcoming training. Can you make it? So now I'm inviting him to something that probably speaks to a pain that he's currently going through.
Totally makes sense.
Not just throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping it sticks, but it's very prescriptive. And when I can say, Ruben, I thought of you because of X, Y, and Z. Here's this class I'd love for you to attend with me. Can you make it? Like that's different than, hey, are you ready to make a switch over to XYZ Realty because we offer this, and like, you're not talking my language.
Yeah.
You don't know me and what challenges, let alone how you can help me.
Exactly. And that's why I asked that question, because you get, I mean, this is an old industry that's done a lot of old things for a very long time. And that's what it usually is, right? It's just, look how great we are. Let us pound our chest. And you're sitting there like, I don't know. How
it's
this
gross. It's gross. That's why it feels gross. And people get pissed off when they show screenshots in Facebook groups of people who are doing it the wrong way, which spoils it for everybody else who's doing it the right way.
Yeah. And usually something negative spreads like wildfire way faster than anything positive, unfortunately.
Yep.
But that's why I asked that, and I think that's good for others to hear, which that could also obviously help anybody who wants to recruit listings or
Yeah.
recruit buyers. Is the same type of concept. So thank you for clarifying that for me.
What is a for sale by owner or an expired listing? What are they struggling with, in just attaching your value proposition and your language to that? Same
Yeah.
difference.
So say I'm in the Mighty Middle, which I love that name. Why have I never heard of that? I don't know, but the Mighty Middle, love
Credit
it.
to Mary Lou, because we got tired of saying messy middle because that's condescending. It's the
That's
mighty middle, man. Yeah.
Mighty Middle. I love it. Thank you, MLD. So Mighty Middle. Shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say. Mighty Middle, Mighty Middle. Oh, anybody that is in the Mighty Middle, how could the locker room help them? Because traditionally you look at coaching companies and you say, man, this is I'm in the Mighty Middle. I'm not yet there where I could
Yeah.
pay, $3,000 a month or whatever it is.
Yep.
Do you guys have a program that could serve the Mighty Middle essentially if they need it?
I sure like to think we do. First of all, we offer one-on-one coaching, especially loving to work with the mighty middle agent. And I'm being stereotypical, depends on your market, but let's say it's $1 to $6 million per whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
You know who you are. And so one-on-one coaching would be the first obvious choice. If that's not for you, I would have to say, Ruben, it's this Track Plus program that we do. It is meant to plus 25 your sales. It teaches the behaviors. It's a 12-week program. It's a digital course with a workbook associated with it. It can be self-led, or we can do it live as a cohort as well and facilitate that accountability meetup every single week. But we've had close to 10,000 agents now go through this track program, and they compare it to other programs I won't name them. And they say, they say it's the best program they've ever done, which means a lot. And we have a lot of evidence and case study stories and examples of how people have just exponentially increased their business, to which they give that a lot of credit for.
Yeah, and I'll give a lot of credit. I mean, every time we bring it in, people absolutely love it. And I'll say, for anybody who's thinking about it and you're a leader and you're thinking about this Mighty Middle going into it, and Jake, if someone else has done it better, but I took a step back. I was like, I'm not leading this thing. Like it's like the freaking parent coming in like waving your finger all over again. They're like, I've heard this. But when you bring in someone else from the locker room, it is a different game.
Yeah.
And
we'll gladly facilitate it. Yeah.
It is so much better. And what's cool is like you guys, like you said earlier, it's not like you jump back in like, hey, what do y'all want to talk about this week? These people connect with your people on social media. They'll like it, they'll heart it, they'll comment. It's your first listing, it's your 10th list. I mean, there's a lot of love. It's way outside of the track program that are still supporting. And it's very, very, very cool.
I'm leading a group right now of 170 agents from Edina Realty. Edina is the #1 brand under the Home Services of America, Berkshire Hathaway brand.
Yeah, cool.
They got 22,000 some odd agents. I'm leading 170 of them right now. We're on week 6 through track, and it's unbelievable, man. Like right now, we know that the average, on average, it's 15 conversations to 1 appointment. For every 32 conversations gets them a new piece of business. The average value of a contact is $240. How do I know this stuff? Because we're tracking it across 170 agents and bottling it up to spit out the averages. And not to mention how many appointments and closings and yada, yada, yada they've had. It's rolling up to this master dashboard where now we can tell a story and compare the 90 days before to the 90 days after track. And it's pretty compelling. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to lead. And we just meet every week to mastermind, brainstorm, have accountability discussions about the prior week's learning and tasks. And then we assign them the new week and so on and so forth.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. And I know we're at time, and I wish we could talk about this even longer. But you've kind of brought up all the emotion from us going through it. Not too, about a year, I guess, some change ago. And I'm like, man, we gotta bring this thing back because it is so cool. I rock the shirt. I should be bringing it back.
I know, but
all right. So, man, we're at time. Do you have like 1 minute?
Yeah.
All right. Let me, because I got a ton of questions here, but now I just want to get like a very cool one. By the way, if anyone else has a question, please ask it. Please ask it. Please ask it. Used to be sure.
I probably talk too much like normal. I didn't mean
No,
to do
dude,
that.
this has been really good. There's so many good questions here. I guess I just flip a coin. Uh, what, what's the worst piece of advice you have ever gotten? And then we'll end on
Oh,
that.
fake it till you make it definitely stands out to me. I just fundamentally disagree with that. And not that it's terrible, but I've just taken a different stance on this one. A very popular quote, with all due respect to whoever initially said it. I don't subscribe to success lives outside your comfort zone. I don't. I have a whole different. I train on this actually and state my case and break down the difference and all that. But I believe success originates by knowing your strengths and expanding on your strength zone, rather than how we generally hear that, which is I need to wake up every day and stab my eyes out with a spoon and cold call people for a living. Like, I just don't. I understand, and I'm playing a little some semantics with the quote. Yes, we need to push ourselves. Yes, we need to. I get it. But doing so rooted in our strengths and acknowledging what those strengths are, all those transferable skills and natural behavior styles of ours, all this recipe that makes us who we are, capitalizing on that and then expanding outward from there. Just a different mindset, different philosophy that's usually liberating for people when I can deliver the whole thing.
Yeah, I've watched one of those in the room, and it is
Yeah.
extremely liberating, and it makes
Yeah.
so much more. It makes so much sense when you do see it, and like you said, you do have to move in. Like I said earlier, you know, you usually grow when you do things you feel as if you're
Yeah.
unqualified for.
Yeah.
But man, like when
I
you
think
lean
both
in,
can be true, but in the right context.
yeah, 100%. And man, when I decided to lean into who I am, it is
Yep.
the hockey stick. The growth has really because it's a natural, and energy is a real thing, and you're at your highest energy, and you start to bring other people's energy up, and you start to
That's right.
relate, and it becomes powerful. Yeah,
Agreed. Completely agreed, man. Well said.
yeah.
Well said.
Well, where can people find you? As always, you know how people in this stuff. Where can people
Hey.
find you? Where can they get in touch with you, the locker room, the team, if
Yeah.
they need help or they just want more information? It's all
Just
yours.
reach out, truly, guys. Above all else, we just want to help. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. But if you want, yeah, our website is tlrnation.com, tlrnation.com. Email me, jake@tlrnation.com. I'm a real person checking my emails, not somebody else. That's me.
Yep.
And then finally, look me up on, I'm most active on Facebook. Maybe that makes me old, but I think it's facebook.com/Jake Dixon29 is the direct link to my personal profile. So
Okay.
look me up anywhere.
Yep. And reach out to them. I'll say I've tried to like make more presence on Instagram. My world's Facebook too. My world's
Yeah,
Facebook too. I don't know what it is.
I don't
Well,
know.
thanks for your time, man. We went a
Okay.
little over time as giving your character. You're always willing to give more than what we is even allotted at that time. So I appreciate it, man. You're
I'm
the
supposed to
man.
be on a Zoom right now with a broker owner
I gotta get out
mastermind,
of
but
here. All right,
Kristen's running it, so I'll apologize, man. But seriously, thank you for this opportunity. I
of
always
course.
love being on the Be More training, and keep for what you do for our industry. I don't mean to kiss your butt. I really mean it. True abundance, true leadership on display. And thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Dude, same, man. Same. Tell everyone I apologize for you as well on the call that
I
you're
got
about to
it.
jump on. Thanks, brother. See you,
All
man.
right, buddy. We'll talk soon.